know the vibes. We are back. Another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K22. Your host, Mo Moons, here alongside my co-host, three-time NBA champion, super agent, front office extraordinaire, Mr. BJ Armstrong. How you doing?
Mo, I'm doing great. You know, you always are so kind with your words and your intro. Your intro game is it's on point, we should say. You know, your intro game. But I'm doing well, my friend. How are you doing?
Oh man, I can't complain. They think I may have fractured a bone in my foot, so that is something to complain about. But we move. We've got to keep it moving. 2024 is fast approaching, so I'm gonna have to power through. So I'm gonna go in for some x-rays and scans next week, but in the meantime, we're gonna keep bringing you guys amazing podcasts every morning talking basketball. And we always talk about the NBA, but today is the start of March Madness, so I thought we're gonna make a little exception today and break down a little bit of college basketball, because for me, college basketball, in my opinion, is not very big over here in the UK where I'm living and where a lot of our audience resides, mainly because they don't really show it on TV and they don't have a league pass for it, so we don't get to see a lot. So I thought we'd talk to BJ, who keeps a close eye on it and all the prospects that are coming out, and also hear from him about stories from his college days. But I want to start with this. BJ, which college team do you support when it comes to March Madness? Who are you rooting for?
Well, I always root for my alma mater, Iowa, the Iowa Hawkeyes. And that's where I went to school. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. But my Iowa Hawkeyes, who are playing very well this year, and actually they have a pro prospect this year, Keegan Murray, who I think will be a lottery pick. Mm-hmm. They won the Big Ten tournament, for those who follow college basketball. And so I'm always rooting for my alma mater. If my alma mater doesn't win, and then I root for the Big Ten, which is the conference in which we played in, or which the university belongs to. And I think they'll be well represented this year in the NCAA tournament.
So why did you pick Iowa to go and play college ball? Because I think a few of you guys from Detroit, from Michigan, went over to Iowa in the same class.
Well, Mo, to be honest with you, I just realized I wasn't good enough to go to the other places. I was recruited by most of the colleges throughout America. And the schools that I really wanted to go to was Michigan State, mm-hmm. or Michigan. That's where I'm from. And Michigan State had a young guard by the name of Scott Skiles.
Yep.
He was a freshman. And a quick story. So Scott Skiles, I'm on my recruiting visit at the university, at Michigan State University. And Tom Izzo at the time was an assistant coach. Judd Heathcote, who coached Magic Johnson, was the head coach.
Okay.
And that was up there. And I go to take my visit, and I'm all set. I'm ready to go. I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good. This is the place for me. I'm going to Michigan State, which is about an hour and a half away from my home, drive in the Big Ten Conference. Scott Skiles comes into the room, and right before I'm about to leave, he said, "Hey, don't forget, if you come to Michigan State, just be prepared to sit on the bench for the next 3 years."
Wow. Was he was already on the team at the time then?
He was going to be a freshman.
Okay.
He wasn't like a freshman going to be a sophomore. He was a freshman. He was going to be hadn't played a game there yet.
Man.
But he said, if you do come here, in some choice words, right? That we're not going to say here. Yeah. But Scott and I, we're good friends now. But it's one of those
for you guys at home, you probably remember him as a coach, Magic, the Bucks. He's coached a few teams, had an NBA career, was the most improved player one year, but that's just some background. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so he says, as only Scott Skiles can say, if you come here, just be prepared to sit on the bench for the next 3 years. Okay. The room goes completely silent. Mo goes completely silent. Judd Heathcote doesn't know what to say. It's one of those awkward moments, right? I'm 17, 18. I'm being recruited. I'm feeling good. I want to go to Michigan State.
Yep. And they're trying to make you feel like the man, on your recruiting.
Yeah, they're trying to make me feel like the man.
Trying to say, BJ, come rock with us.
Absolutely. And he says that, and no one knows what to say. It felt like 5 minutes of silence. That's what it felt like.
That's crazy.
And so, long story short, I end up not going there because of that.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then, so my next visit is going to the University of Michigan, and which is about 35 minutes from my home. I've grown up there in Detroit, and they're right there in Ann Arbor. And I go there, and the coach at the time was Steve Fisher. And he tells me, well, if you come here, you're going to have to redshirt. You're just not good enough.
So that means you miss it. You miss a year and then play the next season. I have to miss a
year.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to miss a year. And at the time, Glenn Rice, my understanding is he told Glenn Rice the same thing, but Glenn ended up going there anyway. And Lloyd Vault, who played in the NBA, Mark Hughes, who played in the NBA, and I didn't go. I didn't go because I didn't want a redshirt. I just felt like, as most kids, hey, I
you want to play ball. You want to play ball.
I want to play. So I end up looking at a few other schools, University, Boston College University. I looked at the University of Kentucky. I looked at a few other schools.
Was Kentucky what it is now back then, or is that more recent? Because Kentucky's a powerhouse.
Kentucky's always been a powerhouse. Kentucky has always been what we call one of the Power Five schools, right? The Power Five schools in the NCAA tournament or the NCAA for basketball would be Kentucky, the University of Kansas, North Carolina, UNC. Duke University, and UCLA. So those are the Power Five. Yeah, those are the Power Five. And so I didn't go to the University of Michigan because I didn't want a redshirt. So I ended up looking out at a school who had been recruiting me as well the entire time, by the name of George Raveling, who was the coach at the time, who I committed with going as a young kid going to Iowa. And I committed to Iowa because I just saw an opportunity to be in the Big Ten and play. And I wanted to play against those schools. Yeah. And in particular, Scott Skiles and those guys. So that was my little recruiting story. Scott Skiles and I played many years after, in the pros. He ended up playing professionally, coaching, and was a really good player. We laugh about that now. Wasn't funny then, but we laugh about it now. And but so that was my college experience, and I had a great time. I stayed all 4 years, unlike many of the kids do today that go out after 1 year. And it was a great time. I really enjoyed my 4 years of college.
Yeah, well, you left as the all-time leader in assists, and currently are now 6th all-time for the University of Iowa. I think it's an amazing achievement. Right. But, you support those guys, and I think that's why it's tough for the NCAA over here, because I, and along with everyone else here, don't have a natural affiliation to any team. So,
right.
I used to support, because I had no idea who I'm supporting, right? Because they change the players every year. It's not like I really like this guy. So I would support the University of Kentucky. Why? Because I love Kentucky Fried Chicken. Simple. Simple. And then near my grandma's house, they opened a new chicken shop called Maryland Chicken. So I started supporting the University of Maryland. And then the season where, I can't remember who's, it was Al Horford and Joakim Noah on the University of Florida, because I got a hoodie with the university. I didn't know it was the University of Florida. It just had the crocodile on it, because this is back when everyone was wearing polos. Remember when Kanye and them started wearing polos, right? So
yes,
my parents wouldn't buy me the polos because it's crazy expensive. And then the next one down from polos was Lacoste with the crocodile on it, right?
Yes.
But obviously that's still expensive. So I get this hoodie on sale because no one's bought it with the crocodile. They're like, here, crocodile, happy. I'm like, what the hell is this? So then I'm just, I've gone to hoop and someone sees me. Oh, and someone says, what's up to me, thinking I'm from the University of Florida. And I have no idea what's going on. And then I realized what it is. I was like, cool. And then my favorite team was Draymond Green on Michigan State with Tom Izzo. Great. When I watched that, I remember one of my coaches made us sit down. Remember when they played the game on the aircraft carrier?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yep. So it was it UNC
that's in San Diego?
Yeah.
That was right out here in San Diego. Yep.
Yeah. So we were breaking down film one time with one of my coaches, and that's the game we broke down. And I think It was Michigan State as well. And I just like that. But I don't have, like, I change every season. I don't have anyone to support. I don't have a team to root for, unlike the NBA, where I have an affiliation and a team that I actually root for. So it's just kind of random. So that brings me on to now, this season, March Madness tipping off today. Which team should I be keeping an eye out for, aside from your Iowa Hawkeyes, of course?
Right. Well, what makes this tournament fun is that it's a one-game elimination, and you have to be lucky to pick the upsets.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to start off there. It's a really fun tournament to participate. That's why they call it March Madness, because literally anyone can be upset at any given time. I think the teams to look out would be the following. I'll give you a few teams. Kentucky is one of those teams you should look out for. Gonzaga out here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
They've probably been the best team all year with Chet Holmgren and company. Arizona has been terrific. The Arizona Wildcats, they've been terrific this year. Baylor, the defending champions, will be another team. I give you my Hawkeyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those teams will probably, one of those teams will probably be in the Final Four. If not, maybe two or three of those teams will end up being. But you know what? You could have Auburn. You could have a number of teams, Purdue, Wisconsin, any of these teams. So the way I like to do it and what I pick is I always would go into the office and I would ask all of the people in the office, what's your favorite color? And based on the colors, that's how I would pick my bracket. Because you have to pick the upset, right? Yeah. If one of those teams that you pick to go to the Final Four loses, your bracket is busted, right? Your bracket is completely busted. So you have to pick the upsets. And there's always, Toledo beats Duke.
Yeah,
someone
there's
like
something
that.
crazy
that will happen. So it's fun. It's fun to watch the games. It's a short game. It's 40 minutes, which is a little different than the NBA game, and it's a different style of play. So it's fun. We enjoy it here, and if you get a chance, you'll have fun. I can guarantee you that. You may not understand the game, but you'll have fun watching it. And it's very enjoyable.
For those of you guys who don't know, college basketball is a game of two halves. It has a 35-second shot clock. So it is a very different game. Some colleges even put out two different lineups, one for the first half, one for the second half, which I think is an interesting tactic. I think one of the biggest upsets I can remember was one college team I always liked was Georgetown, because if you look at all the NBA players who came from them, they pride themselves on great big men, but also, there's a couple other great players who came through there. So they lost to, who was it they lost to? It was like 2013. I think it was like Florida Gulf. And I'm watching it like, AI used to play for this team. How they losing to not Florida State, but Florida Gulf. So I like the upsets and the unpredictability. For our English fans, it's kind of like the FA Cup of basketball. The FA Cup, BJ, is a football competition, soccer, where the third round of the tournament, it involves every team in the country. So not just the Premier League, any team can enter. Like if me and you put together a team, we could apply to enter and anyone can go in. And it's known for upsets like that. But I want to ask you from a playing perspective, how does the atmosphere in March Madness compare to the atmosphere in the NBA playoffs?
Oh, it's no comparison. The energy.
Are you saying March Madness is better than the NBA
March
playoffs?
Madness? Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
So March Madness, because the game is shortened. The game is shortened, and the energy, because you have a different crowd. It's mostly younger. It's mostly younger people, the college students, and then you have the people who are just loyal to that university. Then you have, once your team is eliminated, then you just root for your conference. And so, you'll have the SEC, which is Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, in the SEC. And then you might have the ACC, which is Duke, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland. Then you have the Big Ten, which is Iowa, Michigan State, Ohio State. And then you have the West Coast teams, which is UCLA, Arizona. So the energy is just very intense.
But it's held in one place, right? So this year it's in New Orleans. The whole tournament.
That's where the final. That's where the Final Four. So host. So it's little tournaments all around the country.
Yeah.
And with the idea is, as you keep advancing, you eventually get to the Final Four, which that's where you have an opportunity to win the entire tournament.
Yeah. But do fans travel from wherever they are to where the Final Four is being held? Because we don't see that in the NBA, right? In the NBA, it's home court advantage.
No, exactly. So for instance, Duke has a huge following.
Yeah.
So as they say, Duke travels well.
Okay.
So if you're playing Duke or you're playing Kentucky or you're playing Kansas, UCLA, or one of those schools, you have to be prepared because more times than not, they will have a home court advantage because they will take over that arena.
Mm.
So because those schools travel well, that's one of the reasons they call them the Big Five.
Okay.
Because they travel well. Now, the atmosphere is just very intense, because it's a shortened game, college atmosphere, and it's just loud. It'll be like Game 7 of the NBA Finals. The intensity, you see when you get to a Game 7, that's what college basketball feels like. That's what crazy. It feels like.
That's absolutely,
because it's a one game elimination tournament. So,
do you think,
one game, you're done.
Do you think the NBA should try a single elimination tournament just at some stage?
No, it's a different game.
For fun.
It's fun for the fans because you win one game.
Yeah.
The NBA is a very pure game because it's not a mistake when you win 4 out of 7.
Yeah. Well, I like the play-in tournament now because
it's fun for the fans, but I don't like the play-in tournament. I don't like the play-in tournament because I fought all year and I got the 8th seed.
Yep.
And then
BJ, no one likes the play-in tournament until their team finishes 9th or 10th. LeBron James said whoever invented the play-in tournament needs to be fired. But this year, he better be sending a thank you note to whoever invented the play-in tournament because the Lakers are trying to creep in.
I get the play-in tournament. But again, I'm playing 82 games.
Yep.
I'm playing 82 games. I'm playing this team 4 times. If they beat me 4 times, pretty much they're a better team than I am. But because I have a better matchup versus another team, doesn't mean that I should eliminate those. You follow what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
It just doesn't.
I know exactly what you mean.
I understand the excitement. I'm never going to get in the way of the business mode.
Mm-hmm.
The 7-game series, it's very hard to be lucky 4 out of 7 games.
Yeah.
You can win 1 game, and it's a very exciting thing for the fans. I get it. I understand it. But if you want to have that play in, reduce the 82 games then. Reduce the 82 games so that the play-in game now
holds more weight.
It holds more weight. Now, because that's the whole thing about playing in the NCAA tournament. Anybody can get hot for 1 game, Mo.
Yep.
Anybody can get hot for 1 game. But let me see you get hot for a series. And that's the purity of the game, and that's the difference. So that's what I'm saying. At the NCAA game, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. You get an upset, hey man, it's one of the greatest things. It's some of the greatest thrilling basketball you can have because it's the David versus Goliath. You can actually beat and be the best team for 1 day.
Yep. On any given day, anyone can beat anyone, and that's the beauty of it. BJ, who's in your bracket gonna win the NCAA tournament, March Madness this year?
I'm going with Iowa. Every year with Iowa. I go.
But if you weren't gonna go with it, say they get eliminated in round, who do you then think?
Mo, if I can be literally Mo,
anyone.
Every year, Mo, I say the same thing because I can't. I'm bad at picking the upsets. Okay. You have to pick the upsets. I go with Iowa. If you want to be a safe bet and look like you know what you're talking about, you got to go with the number 1 seeds, right? You go with
Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas,
Arizona,
and Baylor. Do you think
go with the number 1 seeds?
Do you think Coach K, his final ever March Madness, is worth a punt?
What do you mean? Do you think
because Coach K coached his final game for Duke, and they lost horribly, and you know it's a big occasion, a lot of pressure.
Yes,
but now he's coaching the tournament. Do you think that the team will try and redeem itself, or not try, but the team will be able to redeem itself?
No, it doesn't work that way. You know, look, Coach K's had a historic coaching career. I mean, arguably one of the greatest runs any coach has made at any level. I mean, he's been there over 40 years, I think, at Duke. And when you say Duke, you have to say Coach K.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think this team, because of their youth, I don't think they're not playing well right now. I mean, they have really struggled over the last couple of weeks, whether it's due to the distractions of Coach K's career coming to an end, maybe because, you know, they're not as good for whatever the reason has been. They have not performed to the standards of Coach K. I don't think this team, as I see it, will be able to win 6 games. But stranger things have happened, Mo. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is why we got to play. Now, I think they got a number 2 seed. I kind of just quickly.
Yep, they're number 2 seed.
They got a 2 seed. Coach K clearly has the experience. You know, you plan how you break it down. You're playing 3 2-game, 2-game tournaments, right? Yeah. That's how it breaks down. And are they capable? They have the talent, but over the last 2 weeks, Mo, they haven't been playing well. And I don't expect this team to advance. I don't expect them to get really past, the Sweet 16.
Well, my pick to win March Madness this year, as I say, I choose my teams every year who I'm going to support. I'm picking Baylor to win it all. The Baylor Bears.
Well, they won it last year. Come on, go out on a limb.
The reason I'm picking them is they have a player representing the big UK, and I don't mean University of Kentucky. We have a half British athlete who's playing for the Baylor Bears. So I got to rock with them. I got it because he's projected, Jeremy Sochan is projected to be a first-round draft pick in the NBA. Now, if he can come and ball out in this tournament and make a real name for himself, shoot up those draft boards, then the buzz around this kid in this country, because no one's talking about this right now, the buzz around this kid in this country, if he gets picked in the lottery and goes to the league, that might just be a game changer for us over here. So I got to root for them. So I'm rooting for Baylor. They won the Big 12 tournament just the other day. So I'm rooting for them. And to be honest, I thought it was kind of weird last year and the year before because of COVID that, trying to make it all happen. So this is kind of the first normal-ish one that they're going to have for a couple of years. Right. So it's going to be interesting. I'm picking Baylor to win it. But if I wasn't going to pick them, then I have absolutely no idea, no loyalties of who I would want to win. I like Notre Dame because they're kind of like the Boston Celtics in their branding and their logos. So
they probably will win it. I'm telling you, you have that's how you got to choose these.
Yeah,
choose these. I'm going to say, with my basketball eye, I'm going to say Arizona. Just my basketball eye. What I've seen, I kind of just, how you see a team, you go, they could get on a roll the way they play it. Yeah, they could. The Wildcats, they play a nice brand. I like their brand. They have some good bigs, good guards, and they're athletic. They could really, they could. I think I could see them winning it. But you could say that about Kentucky. You could say Gonzaga, UCLA, for instance. Last year, they brought back their entire team from a year ago.
That is very rare.
That's rare. Yeah, it's very rare. They brought back their entire team. Kansas, I think they got a number 1 seed. So, Auburn, there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams that could end up winning. You just never know with these games. Duke, Coach K could go on. Who knows? But I think Notre Dame, what you just said, makes a lot of sense to me. You like the logo. Let's go with it.
I don't even like it. It just reminds me of the Celtics. I don't even really like the logo. I mean, it just reminds me of my team. So we'll roll with whatever.
The Fighting Irish.
That's the one. I just want to see good basketball. That's what I'm here for. I don't care who wins. I just want to see good basketball and see some of tomorrow's starts, because college basketball really puts guys like Carmelo Anthony when he was at Syracuse, Anthony Davis when he was at Kentucky, puts these guys on the map, puts them on everyone's radar. Not that they weren't already, but I'm looking forward to it. And then in December, we got a bunch of college teams coming over to the UK for a special exhibition. We got 4 teams coming at London's O2 Arena, and I'm sure we'll get into that and do some stuff all around that. But in the meantime, that's been another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast. Let us know on social media. Tweet us. Who are you rooting for in this year's March Madness tournament? Are you a fan of March Madness? Are you a fan of the NCAA, or do you simply not care? What would make you care? It's fascinating to me just to see how different it is, because in America, they go so hard for this. Like, they go crazy for college basketball. Whereas over here, not so much. So it's fascinating to me. BJ, I'm wishing your Iowa Hawkeyes all the best for the tournament. I hope they do you proud. But like I said, I need the Beta Bears to win it. But what I need everyone to do, hit subscribe, show some love to the show, tell your friends, tell their friends, to tell anyone who likes basketball to tune in and rock with us every day. We're going to be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. This is why we haven't spoken about the matchup of Embiid versus Jokic. We're going to talk MVP. Be ready. Be there. Tomorrow morning. You know the vibes. And until then, get buckets.